Good afternoon, you're welcome to the Marketplace with me, Charles SAATM. Here's what's coming up in the next half hour. Threats to after failing looms as the single Africa air transport market is still not implemented. We shall have an expert speak to these concerns. Also, Ghana to displace Ivory Coast and become the lead exporter and earner of palm oil production in West Africa for the next 5 years. We have more on this developing story. Plus, 3 brilliant young men from the Accra Technical University join us with their invention of a robot to aid heavy industrial work. We'll hear this story on the Marketplace coming up shortly after this break. Hello and welcome. Now, even as Ghana and the rest of Africa gets into a single market through the Continental Free Trade Agreement, there are fears that the non-existence of a single airline could defeat the very purpose of the Continental Free Trade Agreement. For this to happen, the former head of commercial at Amtrak Air, as well as Africa World Airlines, Richard Tre, is calling for the single Africa air transport market framework to be fully implemented. Now, we could pull up this particular fact sheet on what the single market is all about. First of all, it is a flagship program of the AU Agenda 2063, which seeks to create a liberalized single air market for the movement of persons and goods within the African continent. Also, it provides a framework for the protection of consumer rights, fair competition among participating players, as well as a platform for dispute resolution. Plus, as of January 2020, only 34 countries, including Ghana, have signed on to the commitment to this free market environment. Also, the fourth point is that in the absence of this particular market, bilateral services agreement is being used by countries to enhance the commercial aviation and trade activity. So it's very much important, hence the concern that if we're not having this after, it could pose much more harm to its implementation. Richard Tre joins us via Zoom to explain his reasons why, especially when he has published an article to this effect. Even as Ghana and the rest of Africa get into a single market through the Continental Free Trade Agreement, there are fears that the non-existence of a single airline could defeat the very purpose of the Continental Free Trade. For this to happen, the former head of commercial at Amtrak Air, who is also an aviation expert, Richard Tre, is calling for the single Africa air transport market framework to be fully implemented. Once again, let's pull it up, what exactly he's trying to mean. This fact sheet you could see soon on your screen spells out the fact that the single market is a flagship program of the AU Agenda 2063, which seeks to create a liberalized single air market for movement of persons and goods within the African continent. Also, it provides a framework for the protection of consumer rights, fair competition among participating players, and a platform for dispute resolution. Plus, as of January 2020, this is very important, only 34 countries, including Ghana, had signed a commitment to the SAATM. Also, in the absence of this, bilateral service agreement is being used by countries to enhance commercial aviation and trade activities. These are stark revelations we're getting from our fact sheet there. Richard joins us via Zoom. Many thanks for being with us, Richard. You have published an opinion piece to this effect. Does Africa currently have an aviation union or association? If you could unmute your microphone, please.
Thank you very much, Charles. Currently, we do not have one common union for African airlines. However, what we do have is we have AFRA, which is based in Nairobi. AFRA is for African airlines. It regulates the airlines. And also we have AFTAG. AFTAG is the African Commission of Civil Aviation, so that's also based in Dakar. So these two bodies regulate airlines. So AFTAG is for the civil aviation on the regulatory part, and AFRA for airlines on also the management aspect of that.
So there isn't a single market in general. But what could be hampering the advancement for a single airline market, in your view?
There have been a lot of concerns and a couple of issues creating this. But as the fact sheet reveals, currently we have 34 countries signing on to the solemn commitment. Some of the key problems is one, the ownership structure. So before you can be termed as an African airline, one, per the document, you need to have at least 51 or more percent to be termed as an African airline. And these are some of the issues that carriers and countries are contemplating about. But again, the issues has been resolved. Two, we have another issue concerning harmonization of taxes, charges, and fees. It will interest you to note that if you look at our continent, taxes within the continent are very high, and based on jurisdictions of each and every carrier, you have taxes which has been imposed. For instance, if I'm flying from Accra to Lagos, you have close to $150 or less dollars between Accra and Lagos. That is taxes alone. More or less, if you look at Europe market, it's a different thing altogether. You can fly from any part of Europe, and the taxes on it will be less than $8. So these are things that we need to actually look at to ensure that the implementation of the single African air transport market becomes a reality. To abolish most of all these taxes and other impediments has to be cleared.
Well, so moving forward, how can we achieve the full implementation of this very much brilliant initiative?
We need to encourage governments. Currently, we have close to 21 countries who have not signed on this, and we need to encourage them to do so. Again, they need to also realize the needs and the returns that will be contributed into the GDP of these economies. At the background of this, a study was conducted between 12 countries, and out of the study, we realized that, which Ghana was actually part of that study, we realized that when we implement this, fares will be reduced by about 25 to 35%, and that is significant. About close to 5 million persons who ordinarily will not be able to afford air travel will be able to afford that. So this and many more, our region will be interconnected, and connectivity is key at this point in time. Now that we have AFTA, it is important to make sure we liberalize our airspace so that air transport, connectivity, our goods and services will be able to have a good
You're still watching The Marketplace. Let's still stay with the Continental Free Trade Agreement, because there are growing fears that Ghanaian entrepreneurs could lose out on the benefits of this single market. Even as we host the Secretariat, as well as trade beginning on the 1st of January, outstanding challenges crippling the competitiveness of young entrepreneurs still linger. First of all, we can talk about the access to affordable credit. We could talk about the favorable tax and land regimes, the cost of power, and many others. Let's engage the Chamber of Entrepreneurs on the issue as Sheriff Gali joins us via Zoom. Sheriff, we're so grateful that you could join us. We're having this discussion as well as the Trade Minister takes over the office of the Business Development Ministry. How do you box it all up in this particular regard?
All right, thank you very much once again for having me. Let's go straight to the issue. Having the Ministry of Business Development taken out, it is not a good feeling, but we cannot question the decision of our president, who we all know is a man that have the business community at heart. One would always want that we have a ministry that is focused on the business community, the development of entrepreneurship. But like the president said, the Ministry for Business Development was created for a purpose of which it has achieved the purpose. So it needs to be taken out. However, we believe that some of the initiatives the Ministry of Business Development were actually embarking on or were doing we want them to be retained. We want to see how the Trade Ministry would find a way of ensuring that those things are still going on. And one thing that as a business leader or the business community in general wants is that the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, that is NEP, we want it to actually not go directly under the Ministry of Trade. I have a reason for that. We want it to go back to where it were, which is directly under the Office of the President. If that is done, we believe that the trade is having a lot of agencies under them implementing one or two programs. If NEP should be added to it, we think that NEP will not be able to function as it's supposed to be. So the initiatives that were embarked by NEP and the Ministry of Business Development, we are praying that if NEP stands under the presidency, they will be able to carry on those projects. But as it stands now, it doesn't change anything. We still believe that the Trade Ministry will do it best. We only hope that the Trade Ministry will work with the private sector players to make sure we are able to gel well, to dialogue on policies before they come out. So it isn't a bad thing. Anything that comes, we accept it. However, we hope that the Trade Ministry will be more engaging and consulting as far as the private sector is concerned.
Well, but we also have to take a closer look at the state of entrepreneurs in Ghana, even as the Continental Free Trade Agreement era kicks in. We're already some few weeks into its implementation. Key issues at hand: the cost of credit, issues of land regimes, and even taxation regime. What exactly are you seeing to be the outstanding challenges face entrepreneurs, even as we kickstart the Continental Free Trade?
Yes, so like you mentioned, these are just two of them, the issues of affordability or affordable credit and that of land. But you see, taxation is also one. One thing we need to understand is that aside all this, we are looking at a country that should have a strategy for after. No matter the situations we are facing internally when it comes to our entrepreneurs not being able to access funding. Now let's ask ourselves, what is the strategy of Ghana as far as after is concerned? How are we planned, or what is our program lineup going into after? That is one thing that is lacking. I know almost all the African countries also have issues with access to credit and all these things, but the fact is that they all have a strategy. The Nigerians will tell you that they are going to make sure that they become the tech giants in Africa. What is Ghana hoping to sell out? You see, if we are able to
does it mean that we have nothing? Does it mean that we have nothing to sell out at this point?
Well, you and I know that I will not say we do not have, but let's be honest. Even the cocoa, that is one of our strengths. How much of the cocoa are we having as end product that we are able to take out, even within Ghana? How much of our cocoa companies are able to come out with finished product that they sell in our market? We do not have. They can't even supply. Let's put it that way. If you are looking for any product of, let's say, chocolate, go to the shopping mall. You will see at least 90% of the foreign chocolate. So now, what is the trend? I am not saying that we have a lot that we can hammer on. The tech industry is there. We are looking at the agro-processing business. All these are sectors that Ghana can really focus on and export, especially after it's concerned. But as it stands now, you and I are not too clear about what is really our strategy as a country. So for that reason, businesses are left onto their own to struggle, and to even understand them after is one of the things. How do they leverage that? So even if today our government is able to provide funding, even if today our businesses are able to access funding and land and all this, but at the end of the day, what is our strategy? How are we even helping these businesses to go beyond the borders of Ghana? Okay,
Sheriff, we're so grateful. We could have this discussion time and time again, but here's the CEO of Ghana Entrepreneurship Chamber, interacting with us on the clear issues at hand when it comes to entrepreneurs at the Continental Free Trade Agreement area.
African connectivity within our continent.
All right, Mr. Chair, we're so grateful that you joined us. Mr. Chair is an aviation expert, joining us with his views on the single African airspace market. Now, Ghana will displace Ivory Coast to become the lead exporter and earner of palm oil production in West Africa for the next 5 years. Now, this is a disclosure from Bloomberg and Fitch Solutions, of which we have more in this report.
Palm oil production will increase by an average of 4.4% year-on-year from 2021 to 2025, with a growth rate increasing at the end of that period. This means the nation would dislodge Ivory Coast as the regional top performer. According to the report, a number of recent establishments of both industry and government bodies to regulate and support the palm industry have improved the potential of the national sector compared with other countries in the region. Already, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and the Ministry of Trade are seeking to develop a palm oil surplus from which they estimate $134 million could be earned within the next 10 years through exports. The Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana was revived in 2015 and is currently being supported by the Solidaridad in a strategic plan to improve its governance and administration by 2024. The government has also recently provided support for the sector in multiple ways, which Fitch Solutions and Bloomberg believe will incentivize further investments in the coming years. However, despite the recent developments in the Ghanaian palm oil sector, production growth will fail to meet demand growth. Also, West Africa will not become a major global supplier of palm oil in the coming years, with the top producers remaining in Southeast Asia.
Hello there, welcome back to the program. 2 years ago, the outcome of the Ghana National Skills Competition organized by the Council of Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET, saw 3 brilliant young men from the Accra Technical University in Ghana emerge winners. Now, this sets the pace for the journey to the creation of the bot arm, which will be a miniature version of what one will find in an industrial space. You can see on your television screen there what exactly we're talking about. It is a robotics training kit which will aid in the acceleration of learning and building of robotic systems across the country. Now, the brains behind what you're seeing on your screens are with me in the studio to help us understand what exactly went into this innovation and their way in the future. So Clement and Justice, brilliant work done. So I could see you holding that, Justice. Yes. So this is the bot arm robot that you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
What informed your decision to come up with this piece?
Okay, so after the skills competition, we excel. So we had the opportunity to travel to Italy.
Okay.
And we went to the company Di Lorenzo, and they took us through, they showed us the machines and things they had. And when we saw the innovation, the tech that they were kind of having there, we were so inspired that we wish to share this with the wider Ghana population so that they could also have a feel of what we had when we went there. So we came up with the idea of also coming up with these robots that will be used as a kit to be trained students.
Great. So Clement, what entered into this whole, invention that you're holding in your hands? This is a kit where you could use to control the robot, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of a PlayStation kind of stuff.
It's kind of a remote.
Okay.
So we have 2 models, the one with Bluetooth and the other one we use a Wi-Fi model. So we can easily control the bot arm with any of these remote controllers.
So, I mean, once again, I want to know what inspired you gentlemen to come up with this kit.
Okay, so what inspired us to come up with this kit is the great innovation that we want to see right there, which we don't find in our nation here. So we decided to come and share that same experience with the people of Ghana by also designing a robotic kit that will be used to teach students. Because usually the practicality of what we do is kind of less, and it's going to bring the hands-on practical to our educational system.
Have you engaged authorities so far on this project?
Yes, actually, yes.
And what has been the feedback, Clement?
Oh, they were very impressed with what we've been able to achieve, because initially, we were not really into robotics, but after our program, after our few trainings in Italy, we saw how great tech has improved over there. So as we came back to Ghana, we also plan to also do SAATM over here. So they were very impressed with the kind of plans we made towards this.
All right, so Clement, I want you to hold this thing there, and Justice, hold this thing here as Clement demonstrates to us how it works exactly. I know it's currently out of service, but demonstrate to us how this thing works for our viewers to see.
Okay, so with this model, we have 3 ways of controlling the bot arm.
Okay.
We have the manual.
Okay.
So you can easily use this manual to control it. We also have our remote control. You can either control using your Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. You can also control it with your phone. Yeah.
So it means that if I'm a contractor on the field, I could control these huge machines with my phone or a Wi-Fi or even manually.
Yes, please. Yes.
Have you thought of the commercialization of this project?
Yes, actually, this is the second prototype. We'll be coming up with the final prototype, which we'll be commercializing. And yes, so that is the other aspect of it.
I want you to share with me your dreams for the future, because this is an invention that you've come up with, but with it comes its own challenges. I believe you've already registered the patent as you speak.
It's in process.
You must do that. But share with me the prospects for the future. Where do you guys see yourself? Because you're 3 in number.
Yes.
For the purposes of COVID-19, we couldn't bring in the 3rd person. But where do you see your works in the future?
Okay, we see ourselves becoming a company that are into robotics, that sort of build robots and sort of made it available to institutions. That's the business aspect of it. We are trying to push it that high to make it a self-employment to ourselves, where you employ ourselves, and the future we're going to employ others to also help in probably improving and shooting it very high. So, yes.
But what about you, Clement, having to permeate through this whole space of robotics in a country where the sciences is all that matters, you know, the arts and cultures are all that matters. Science and tech is often a thing that people often take a second look at. Where do you see your vocation in the future?
In our project, there's one key thing we focus on. We are all students from Accra.
Exactly.
And during our school period, the practical level in the school wasn't that much. And basically, when you complete and move to the industry required you to have some basic ideas of robots, because in the industry they are mostly into mechatronics and robotics. And when students complete, they lack the basic knowledge. So our idea with this board is to design it so that the student can both learn the basic and advanced level. So when it gets to the industry, operating is very easy, and the company wants to waste extra money and resources to train them. So one way we are trying to bridge the gap between the students and the company. Yes.
Any fears? Any fears? Okay. You know, at the beginning of everything, you sort of face the challenge. Just like we started, there are a lot of challenges that we faced that brought those fears. But what we've got into, there is enough confidence that I think the future is bright. Yeah, and I think our next prototype, because we've learned a whole lot of lesson in coming up with this whole thing. We started from using wood, and we faced many challenges, the durability of it. So we decided that, okay, there's 3D printer in the system. Why don't we deploy it on board to sort of make this? And this is how far we've come. It has given us the confidence that, yes, we could really make it.
Gentlemen, I'm impressed, and congratulations as well. We have more discussions in the future, but these are 3 innovative minds there helping us understand what exactly entered into the invention of this particular piece and others that they explained early on in our interaction. Well, away from that, in today's edition of Manila, the Executive Director of Financial Literacy for Africa, Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong, focuses on how to manage debt. Take a listen.
Welcome to Money Lab today. We are on a journey towards achieving financial wellness. We've looked at the income side. Today we want to look at debt. Debt is a big topic when we talk about financial wellness. And for many people, we are caught up in a quagmire of debt, and we are paying so much interest we really don't know what to do. For many also, sometimes what is left after all the deductions is nothing that can even take you home. How do you manage your debts in these difficult times so you can be financially well and avoid money stress? One critical thing you have to do if you're already in debt is to be interested in the details of the debts. It is true that they said you are paying it in 3 years or in 5 years, but are you following to be sure that every month as you get the deduction notice, it is taking you to the duration they said they are going to be paying you? Don't go to bed on the deductions and just leave it to the bank or the financial institution. Be marking yourself to know whether you are closing out on your debt or not. Another thing you need to know is that anytime you fail on repayments, the bank increases the gap once again, and the penalty of not paying goes up, and so you never finish paying. And so if you want to be financially well, I want to advise you to be interested in the details of your debt portfolio. And number two, be marking yourself as you repay so you know how close you are getting to the exit of final repayment. When you do these two things, you'll be getting closer to becoming financially well. Join us tomorrow as I talk about whether to even take any more debt or not.
Took down some notes. That's how we end the marketplace. My name is Charles Ayete. For me and the rest of the team, many thanks for watching.